Hey, Dr. Clark coming at you with another financial mathematics video. This time we're looking at bond terminology, getting us ready to do some buying and selling of bonds. So let's take a look at that bond terminology. So the first thing we want to do is look at the concepts, premium, par, and discount. What do they mean? How do they relate to the coupon rate and the yield rate? How are coupon rates determined? And bond rates, so yield rates in other words, and how many bonds must be sold to raise a certain amount of capital. Those are sort of the big questions that we're going to look at, and a lot of terminology coming at you. What are these words here? This, your premium, your par, your discount. What do those words mean? We want to do that. Before we do, let's just quick remind ourselves, the present value or the price of a bond is the present value of the redemption value plus the present value of the coupon payments. There's that formula. And if you take that annuity formula and spread it out, you get that. Remembering J is always the per period interest rate. So we're going to be using that bond pricing formula a lot today. All right, so the first one, let's do an example. And we're going to see that it's talking about par bond here. We'll see what that means as we do the example. So consider a 3-year bond with redemption value $100 and coupons of $4 every 6 months. The interest rate is set at 8% nominal with semi-annual compounding, and they want to know the selling price of the bond. So that first thing I'm seeing is that 8% nominal. That's 0.08 divided by 2 is 0.04. That's going to be my J. My per period interest rate in this case every 6 months is 1 period. So the selling price of the bond, that present value, should be the redemption value, C, which is $100, divided by the interest rate, which is 1 plus 0.04, so 1.04. And if it's a 3-year bond with compounding twice a year, semi-annual compounding, so every 6 months, that means N in this case is going to be 6. Because we're going to have six-month periods in a 3-year period. Plus the coupons, which are $4, times that annuity formula, A6, A angle 6, they usually call it. And so that's going to be, well, let's do 100 divided by 1.04 to the 6th power. So that's $79.03. So notice $100 3 years from now is only worth $79 now. That's what we mean when we talk about present value. So $79 invested now will be worth $100 in 3 years if it's invested at 8% nominal with semi-annual compounding. Then we have the annuity formula, 1 minus 1 over 1.04 to the 6 divided by 0.04. And if we run the numbers on that, that's 4 times. I'll just put it in my calculator here. And I'm getting $20.97. Now, when you add those two, you get back to 100, okay? And that is a huge deal. So when we say a par bond costs the same as its redemption value. And the reason for that is if the coupon rate, now check this out. What is R, the coupon rate? Well, 100 times R should equal the coupons, which are $4. And so R in this case is 0.04. Now 0.04 is the same as the 0.04 for J, and that's what a par bond is. When the coupon rate is equal to the interest rate, then the selling price of the bond will basically equal the redemption value, in this case $100. And you can think of it as an interest-only loan, because imagine you paid $100 for a bond, and the interest rate is 4%. Well, there would be $4 of interest. Well, if they give you a $4 coupon, they paid the interest, and now the loan is $100 because a bond is basically a loan. 6 months comes, another $4 of interest, and then you get another $4 payment, and then the bond is $100. So it basically just stays at $100 if you think of it like a loan, and that's what a par bond is it's an interest-only loan effectively. All right? And so the definition of par bond is exactly what I said. A bond for which the coupon rate is equal to the interest rate is called a par bond. A par bond can be thought of as an interest-only loan where the coupons function as interest payments. In the case of a par bond, the price of the bond matches the face value of the bond. In this case, we do want the face value to equal the redemption value. That is needed for the math to work out. Oftentimes that's the case anyway, but just kind of note that. Coupon rates are determined by the bond issuer. Essentially, they determine the terms of the bond. The interest rate is determined by the market. So if you're selling a bond, the market says, oh, is this company good or bad? How high of an interest rate are we going to charge? Well, that's the coupons get determined by the bond issuer, but not the interest rate. So they can't necessarily say, I want a par bond. The higher the risk of the bond insurer, the higher the interest rate. Longer-term bonds tend to have higher interest rates because the investor has to wait longer to recover the money. All right, so that's a couple main ideas for par bonds. We also have a couple other definitions. First, premium bond. So what is that premium bond? If the purchase price of a bond exceeds the face value of a bond, it's called a premium bond. So what does that mean? Essentially, that means that, and it's actually down here in the key idea, a premium bond has a coupon rate larger than the yield rate. So if R, the coupon rate, exceeds J, the yield rate, then there's basically more coupons, and so the bond costs more. If the yield rate equals the coupon rate, then the coupons exactly match the interest. If the coupons are more than the interest, then you have to pay more for it, so premium bonds exceed the face value of the bond. A discount bond is the opposite. If the purchase price of a bond is less than the face value of a bond, in other words, if R is less than J, then you get a discount bond. In this case, there's not enough coupons. So there's fewer coupons than the interest would normally generate, and so there's not enough coupons, and so we call it a discount bond. Just the interest rate is bigger than the coupon rate. So now we got par bond, R equals J. Okay, we got premium bond, R greater than J. We got discount bond, R less than J. All right, and so we've got an example. Which bond is it? A 4-year bond has annual coupons of $150, a redemption value of $3,000, and an annual yield rate of 6%. It looks like this is an annual bond. We got annual yield rate, annual coupons. They want us to find the coupon rate first, classify the bond type, and then determine the sale price of the bond. In this case, they gave us C equals 3,000. We're going to assume that that's also the face value. If they don't specify, we assume the face value equals the redemption value. The coupon rate, FR, should equal the coupons. The face value times the coupon rate is $150. Well, the face value is 3,000, and so R must be whatever 150 divided by 3,000 is, and that is what, 0.05? So it's 5% coupons every year. The yield rate is 6%, J. Okay, so J in this case is bigger than R, which means the interest rate is bigger than the coupon rate. So we don't have enough coupons, so we're going to call this a discount bond because the coupons are smaller than the interest would normally be. And determine the sale price. The sale price ought to be less than $3,000 because it's a discount bond. Let's see if that works out. So the sale price should be present value. The redemption value is 3,000 divided by 1.06 to the 4. It's 6% interest for 4 years, plus the coupons, which are $150 each, times our annuity formula, 1 minus 1 divided by 1.06 to the 4. We're doing annual coupons 4 years, divided by 0.06. And if I run those numbers here in my calculator, you can work it along with me if you like. Pause the video if it takes you a little bit longer, just to check that you're understanding how to do this. And I'm getting, as my final answer, $2,896.05. $28.96.05. And that is, in fact, less than the $3,000. If it's a discount bond, it's going to be less than the redemption value. Okay, so that's a kind of a classic bond problem where we price the bond, determine if it's a discount bond, do the coupon rate, and that kind of stuff. Okay, so that is, if that made sense, that's the main ideas for this one. Do you know what par is? Do you know what discount is? Do you know what premium is? Can you tell the difference between each of those types? If that's making sense, great. We'll see you in the next video.